everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a No Man's Sky playthrough. We're going to set this up kind of like a series to where we'll have like seasons of it, and then we'll have different episodes within seasons as we progress throughout the story. There's been a lot of updates to this game. I played it a lot when I was a little bit younger, and to see it grow into what it's been today is just wild. So super excited to get back into it and really kind of delve into all of the new stuff they've added and see what there is to explore. But without further ado, get into it. See y'all there. Alrighty, and starting out here, I just went for the standard materials, stocked up on ferrite dust, carbon, condensed carbon, dihydrogen, all that stuff. Wanted to make sure that I had a good stockpile of that going. I did want to get the Minotaur a little bit later on, and that consumes an absolutely egregious amount of carbon. So I wanted to make sure that I was proactive about setting up a reserve for that so that I not only had enough for the various recipes and fuel that I may need for the normal equipment, but that I had enough to fuel the Minotaur whenever I got to that point. I used my analysis visor and scanned the surrounding area to see if there was anything rare that may be hiding in the distance or underneath the ground. Didn't see anything too crazy. Was pretty standard for the layout. Got in the ship, threw out a quick scan there. Did find this unknown building that I went to go check out. Figured why not? I was already there, just starting out. No rush on time. Nothing really that I was pursuing right then, so wanted to see what that had in store, and then hopped out and hit the beacon. Show up. Pretty relaxed. After getting those coordinates, I got in my ship and headed towards the miner settlement. My hope here was to find a good S-class multi-tool that I could at least mark and then come back to once I had some more units that I could spend. Once I got down here, I moseyed on into the settlement, looked to see if there were any nanite things that I could collect, and then talked with this Korvax guy. He spoke gibberish because I had none of the knowledge stones done. Gave him some ferrite dust. That apparently was not what he wanted. Then I proceeded to look at the multi-tool. Nothing too special. It was a good multi-tool, but nothing that I really wanted to mark for later or come back to. So with that being said, I went to a different planet in the same system that had ancient bones on it. It was mainly a water based planet, so I was really kind of flying around for a little bit to try and find a bigger island, so that way I could go for a while without having to hop islands looking for these ancient bones. During that search, I came across this structure here, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. I think because it had been so long since I played last. So I decided to land and check it out. It did end up being a data structure where there were a couple knowledge stones and then one big stone that you could choose your path there. Korvax, baby. What did I learn? That's the knowledge. Rattler. Korvax work for entity. coordinates. After getting those coordinates, I hopped in my ship and was off to go to a different planet and figure out what was in store for me. And so, just like that, we are at the location and excavating all of these ancient keys. So the objective here is to get all of the ancient keys that we can and get ready to get the big buried cache that's hiding around here somewhere. After gathering all the keys that I could from the area, I decided to go ahead and start digging down with my terrain manipulator to get to the artifact crate, put the keys in their various ancient locks, and went ahead and opened the artifact crate to find the delicate portfolio, which I had never seen before. Normally don't do the historical sites very often, so not a bad value. Definitely is pretty decent, especially for early game. Need all the units I can get, so grabbed that, sorted that away, and then made my way towards the next objective.
Board wiring looms. If you ever play this game, board them. You will always need wiring looms. That's my PSA.
After my PSA about wiring looms, which I still stand by, you will always need them, I went into the space station, bought some wiring looms, sold anything I didn't need, looked a little bit at my inventory, multi-tool stuff to kind of see what upgrades I could do, see what else I needed to be able to continue getting upgrades, looked for the materials that I needed, and then I headed off to go find those. Meanwhile, did blow up some asteroids here to get some tritium and gold and hopefully a few hyperclusters, so that way I could analyze those. And after landing on the new planet, I harvested some more dihydrogen and carbon, standard stuff. Always going to need those, so figured I might as well. As I'm getting out of the ship, I scope with my analysis visor and see a ancient data structure in the distance, so I make my way towards that and start getting ready to harvest some navigation data. There was a giant spawn in of these, so I was able to get a lot of navigation data that I do plan on using a little bit later for various map exchanges, sentinel boundary maps, exosuit upgrade, coordinates, that whole shebang. After doing some flying around, some scoping out on a planet, I decided I would start going for some bigger copper deposits so that way I could get some chromatic metal going, because we'll need plenty of that. That's another resource that's very similar in demand to carbon and dihydrogen and ferrite dust, just one of those that is used in pretty much all recipes. So wanted to get a good stockpile of that going. And after a good long duration of grinding for various materials, cobalt, chromatic metal, well, copper, and then into chromatic metal, I decided it was time to go ahead and get a weapons module for my multi-tool, in which I decided to select the Blaze Javelin. Thought that that was the best candidate for the time being. Eventually I would get the Minotaur, and I really wouldn't need the multi-tool weapon for the most part, but I wanted to at least get a decent one for the time being until we can figure out how we're going to play moving forward. So with that Blaze Javelin equipped, I then set out to start finding various salvageable scrap structures and start mining those and getting the resources from those and starting to stockpile that. And as I started excavating the salvageable scrap, I realized something. For those of you who have played this game prior to the more recent updates, you could get some seriously rare items out of these salvageable scrap structures that would be worth millions of units. That is no longer the case. You can still get them, but their drop rate is much less frequent. So what they've done with the more recent updates is they've started having some of the drops be Corvette Starship parts, which is fine because those are also valuable, but it was definitely a different feel to it and not what I was expecting. So with that knowledge, I went towards doing Ancient Bones now that I knew I was going to be getting mainly Corvette Starship parts out of these. As I started to collect these Ancient Bones, they recently changed these a little bit. It was a little earlier before the Corvette Starship updates, but they made these to where the individual bone pieces are a little bit less valuable, but if I remember correctly, I think you can sell the entire structure that you can get from like entire collections of Ancient Bones for a little bit more money, which is still good. So my plan was kind of undecided at the moment. I was going to go for Ancient Bones, but they're a little bit less, so I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to do the Gravitino Ball route or not. But with that, I would just use the salvageable scrap to stockpile stuff for the Corvette Starship in the meantime. And that's where we will end this episode. So when we come back, we'll work on getting more units. We'll work on getting like a main money-making process that we can commit to and kind of do at least through the earlier part of the game here. When we get enough money, we will go ahead and start looking for a new starship. And then once we do that, we will most likely start working on the Minotaur. And once we have the Minotaur, that'll make our quality of life go up a lot. We'll be able to fight off Sentinels better. We'll be able to deactivate Sentinels on planets, which will be nice. We'll be able to get Walker Brains, Quad Servos, Pugnium, a whole bunch of stuff that's needed for some of the later builds. So we'll be looking forward to that in the next episode. As far as this one, thank you for staying this long and for checking it out. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to do a little bit better about making sure that we're getting constant videos up, hopefully weekly. I'm not 100% sure on how that's going to play out just yet, but I'm super excited to be kicking things off again. And thank you for sticking around with me. We'll see you in the next one.